Good afternoon. My name is Brian Avery. I'm the commander of the American Legion, Post 209 in Forestville, Connecticut. This is part 2 of the 4 chaplains. I am now going to go in depth into who the 4 chaplains are to give you some idea of who these men were and where they came from. The first one I'm going to start with is Alexander D. Goody. He was a Jewish rabbi born on May 10th, 1911. Growing up in Washington, D.C., Alexander Goody was an outstanding athlete and scholar. Following in his father's footsteps, this young man, known for his laughter and for his love in life, became a rabbi. Even as he pursued his studies, he found time to serve in the National Guard. The return of the body of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery had profound effects on Goody. He attended the ceremony, choosing to walk 15 miles there and 15 miles back rather than take a car or bus. He thought it would show so much more respect. Goody married his childhood sweetheart, and they had a daughter. He was serving in York, Pennsylvania, when World War II broke out. One day, Mrs. Goody received a telegram from her husband that read, "Having a wonderful experience." He saw so many things. She knew that her husband had found companions with whom he could share his faith and humor. He served on active duty from August 9th, 1942 until that fateful night on February 3rd, 1943. George L. Fox, Methodist minister born on March 15th, 1900. George Fox was the oldest of the 4 chaplains. In Vermont, he was called the Little Minister because he was only 5'7". Lying about his age in 1917, he enlisted in the United States Army as a medical corps assistant. He received a Silver Star for rescuing a wounded soldier from the battlefield with poison gas. Although he wore no gas mask himself, and the coup de grace for outstanding bravery in an artillery barrage left him with a broken spine. After the war, he became a successful accountant. He was happily married with 2 children. When he heard God's calling to the ministry, Fox went back to school and later was ordained Methodist minister. When war came, he once again enlisted, telling his wife, "I gotta go. I know from experience what these boys are about to face, and they need me." Before he boarded the Dorchester, he wrote a letter to his 2 daughters. "How proud I am that your marks in school are so high. But I always remember the kindness and charity and courtesy are much more important." Fox began active duty on August 8th, 1942, and served until that faithful morning of February 3rd, 1943. Clark Pooling, Dutch Reformed minister, born August 7th, 1910. Clark Pooling was the youngest of the 4 chaplains, the 7th generation in an unbroken line of ministry, the Dutch Reformed Church. When World War II broke out, he was anxious to go, but not as a chaplain. "I'm not going to hide behind a church in some safe office out of the firing line," he told his father. The elder replied, "Don't you know that chaplains have the highest mortality rate of them all? As a chaplain, you have the best chance in the world of being killed. You just can't carry a gun to kill anyone yourself." So the young man left his parishioners in Schenectady, New York, and became a U.S. chaplain. Just before he sailed, Pooling asked his father to pray for him, not for his safe return, because that wouldn't be fair, just to pray that I shall do my duty, have the strength, courage, and understanding of my men. Just pray that I shall be adequate. Indeed, he thought his men to not bear personal hatred for the Germans or Japanese. Hate the system that made your brother evil, he said. It is the system we must destroy. Pooling began active duty on June 10, 1942, and served until February 3rd, 1943. Then there was John P. Washington. He was a Catholic priest. He was born July 18, 1908. John Washington grew up in the toughest section of Newark, New Jersey. He was poor, scrappy, and determined. He was one of 9 children born to an Irish immigrant family. He was blessed with a sunny disposition and a love for music. He also loved a good fight. He was a member of the South 12th Street Gang. When he was called into priesthood, he played ball with his boys from the parish, organized sports teams, and when war broke out, he went with his boys into the army. He began active duty on May 9th, 1942, raised in song and prayer to comfort those around him. Washington's beautiful voice could be heard above all the cries of the dying in the final moments of February 3rd, 1943. My name is Brian Avery. I'm the commander of the American Legion Post 209. Every year we hold a 4 Chaplains Ceremony in the first weekend of February. Please look us up at AmericanLegionPost209.com or on Facebook.